Alright, so we're going to get started building this front bumper today. I'm going to get the winch plate set in. I'm going to tuck it between the frame rails, so we need to get our between the frame rail measurement, and then I'm just going to, as I get it in there and get the winch where I want, we'll play it by ear whether I need to get out some of these more rivets or modify any of this stuff down here at all to get it sitting how I want, because I'd like to minimize how much I need to cut out of my grill, because I kind of like the way it looks. So to start, we need to get a length measurement. We're right at 28 inches in between the frame rails. I'll get my winch plate cut down to that, and we'll get to test fitting and see what we need to do from there. Alright, so got my winch plate all mocked up. Found center all the way through, and then 14 inches and 14 inches. Go ahead and get this thing cut up and get it fit in. This is a motor built winch plate. I'll have a link for it in the description if you're wanting to use the same one. This one's designed for tube buggies. You can see it's got all the tube cutouts there for them. And we're pretty much just cutting those off, and then I can modify it to fit. Up right about there. Alright. Alright, so that's about where it's sitting without chopping this frame at all. Let's see. I just kind of have it stacked up on some stuff. So we're at 1 degree, and my frame's at about 0.2 degrees, so the nose of this is going to need to tip down a little bit more. But let's get an idea of what we're looking at room wise. So we're about 6 3/8 to the bottom here, and my winch is about 10 inches tall. So I think I can get this guy, if I notch the bottom of this frame up to my mount, or to my spring mount, should be able to suck this down maybe 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch more. So then maybe I only need to cut up to like right under here, or maybe I'll bolt this onto there and see what it looks like sticking out front a little bit further. Let's we'll mock all this up a little bit more. Well, we're definitely gonna have to notch this though. I don't like this thing sticking way out front like that. So let's move this out of the way. So we're gonna notch this frame down to here. It looks like it's only going to sit back maybe right in front of these rivets, so I can just kind of beef all this up for it to go in and then make my plates to fit all up in there. So I'll get to cutting and see where that gets us. Alright, so we're going to need to notch out right here. I want to leave as much of that material as I can. So right about here. Actually, let's be super scientific about it. 29 3/4. I'm sure it'll need to be trimmed more, but that'll work to start. Okay. And how far back can we go? I'm going to start by just cutting this flush and see how much more I need to go from there. That is much better and tight though. Got a little room behind it, so I'm going to need to notch out the top of these guys a little too, rubbing right there. So I got this thing all pretty much in there where I want it, and I'm looking at this from the side. So I'm going to make my plate come up here, that way I can attach all in here. But I think what I'm going to do is do a little angle cut here and give this thing a little gangster lean, give it a little bit more shape. So I'm going to cut that, mark it out, cut it, and we'll be right back. There we go. And then we can fine tune it a little bit from there. How's it do on this other side? Yeah, I'll just have to fine tune the fit. Alright, well, we're going to get these side plates cut out and then we can bend them up on the press. Man, I had my camera all set up and somehow I didn't hit record when I was bending these plates, but Don't worry, there'll be plenty of other bending action coming here, but we got our winch cradle all put together here, all fit up, so I'm going to tack that thing together and we'll get further into fitting her in the truck. Starting early today. Feel like I didn't get nearly enough done yesterday. So we're gonna get jamming on this bumper a little bit. I gotta stick to stuff that's kind of quiet because it's like 4 a.m. still. Everyone's still sleeping here and I don't want to wake everyone up. So we're gonna start off with a little bit of arts and crafts. Oh. Morning. Start the day right with some coffee. So I'm going to use my bracket templates that I built to make these plates, and we're going to tie this in to the spring perches here like that. So we're going to modify these to work with this because I don't need these anymore. So first we're going to make a notch to clear all that. So get this about where we want it, about there. It needs to be that tall at the end, but this frame is tapering down right here, so we'll put it a little bit lower. So down about there. I'm going to taper over. A little bit more. A little bit more taper. How's that on the inside? Perfect. Now, bottom of my springs right here. And I'm going to make a skid plate for the bottom of this. So I want this all from here to here to be a straight line. I'm going to come down a little bit with my plate. Let's try that. And then obviously I'll have to modify this corner a little bit. That's looking pretty good though. It bends in the same spot. Let's mark our hole. That's running in. So on the back side, this is too long and it's running into the washer there. So I'm going to mark that off on the back side where you can't really see it. Let's follow this up, I think. Yeah. So we'll something like that. There we go. There. Need to open this up a little bit more. Let's give ourselves just a little bit more space. Make it look a little nicer while we're at it too. I think that'll be about perfect. Funny how sometimes you just overlook obvious things because it's not exactly in your way right that second. But I need to be able to reach in and grab that handle really easily. So, go there. So I put this in one of my shorts a while ago, but a little trick that I do, because I tried to learn how to pinstripe for a while, is if you can kind of like lock your hand, like you kind of flex it on itself a little bit and hold it into position, just find like some anchor points to hold your hand still. If you need to like follow a line, like I want to pretty much move this line over so that everything lines up like it would from the factory. And you just hold it there and drag it along and follow it, and then you've got your line transferred. Something like that. See how that looks. Let's see. That there, this whole thing is going to be forward more. I'm going to give myself a little bit more space there. So we'll do the same thing. I'm just going to move this line over. We'll go from right here. See? So it takes a little bit of practice, but you can probably get it down real quick. And it makes doing like templates and stuff like that a lot easier moving forward once you kind of master that little A little like a base skill, kind of. I kind of think of it. Perfect. And our next challenge. So I know that this is going to be pretty centered on here, and I want to remove as little of this grill as I can get away with. So something that I've kind of done over all the years, when I'm marking on a part that I want to keep, like it's not something I'm going to sand down and paint, or it's not bare metal or something like that, I always put tape down because it helps keep your paint from peeling when you're cutting an edge, or if you mark it in the wrong spot, you don't mess up on a painted surface. So it's just kind of something I've done for a long time, and it's always worked out really well for me. So I recommend doing that. So let's get this into place. Kind of only fits in the one spot, and we can see where my contact issues are going to be. So I'm going to need to cut this in here somewhere. Like just barely into this corner. I really want to leave as much of that as I can. Let's see, give myself some space there. You know, all I have to do is trim that first, and then I can match that angle to it. And this one's going to be somewhere right around there. So we're pretty much just going to cut the chrome piece out once it's light outside and people wake up. So if I think of anything else that I can template right now, I'll do that. Otherwise, I'm going to get my garage cleaned up, and I'll see you guys with the sunrise. Well, I can't start making noise yet, but I sure do love not living in the city. Look at that sunrise, man. We're going to get a lot done today. All right. Coffee refilled. Let's get to making these panels fit better. There's got to be a good flat spot for this. Don't spill on me. Forgot I had my body saw at work, so just have to do this the old-fashioned way. So yeah, when it comes apart, I'm going to take a little bit more off of there because it's just barely touching. And I want, you know what? I think that'll be all right. That's plenty of room. So we're going to drill here with these in place, do rib nuts in this back piece, and then a nice little stainless button head up front so it doesn't stand out and look like crap. And then I'll make a new mount back there since I was able to keep that little factory tab guy. And we'll be golden. So I'm going to finish drilling my frame now. Get the plates on there, then we can make the outriggers for the sliders, and then it's time to start doing tube. You ready for an explosion? So this morning we're going to get started building these sliders. I'm going to do 2-inch box tube for your main slider piece, and then the outriggers to the frame are going to be that's 3/16 thick. And then I got 4x4 1/4-inch plates we're going to cut up, 4 of them per side to tie it into the frame. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to bolt them on or weld them on yet. We'll see. And then for the little tube kick out part on the slider, we're going to do 1 3/4 120 wall DOM, and then I'll probably plate that with some plate and some dimple dies to spice it up. So first off, we got to get our length measurement, and then we can start building from there. Which is, check out that. 62 inches, and I checked the other side, it's also 62 inches. So let's get to cutting sub tube. We're gonna cut our plates to go on the frame and start building these guys. So I'm going to do a little bit different of a tapered cut than most people do on these because I want to see how it looks. So we're going to do an angled cut, but we're going to do it off the corner. Give it a little bit more flair. So we're going to go 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and then back to 1/2 inch. Curious to see if this will look as cool as it does in my head in real life. But there's only one way to find out, and it's just metal, so you can always change it later. Alright, so we're going to measure for our mounting plates now. I'm going to put them in these here and then also in the front. So about 4 by 4. Get one in the middle. And go 4 tall here. And this front one will be interesting. We'll see what I got to do there. So if you're making multiples of the same part, something you can do to make sure they're all the same, line them up together. Clamp them down. Double check, make sure we're good and aligned. And you can use your one that's already drilled as a guide to drill the rest. Alright, so we got our holes drilled. The problem now is I need to locate these top holes. So what we're going to do is flip around to the inside. Get this in place on the inside and drill all the rest of these from the inside, which will be really fun because I got all kinds of fuel lines and stuff in the way on that side and all kinds of exhaust and stuff in the way on this side. So I won't bore you with watching that, but it'll be just a combination of angled drills and however you can get in to get to it, because there's just no room to get to it on the top to make these a bolt-on ordeal. So got to figure out a way to drill them from the inside. Telling you, when you're in a tight spot, these little angle drills with like some sort of a swivel on the end is a lifesaver. $800 1/2-inch holes later. Alright, slider plates are all drilled, got hardware. Let's go get these mocked up on the truck. Do the camera here. So it's about where we'll sit. Got a little gap here because this fender hangs down a little bit. Pretty even all the way across. So now we're gonna make all our kickouts from our frame plates. We got this sitting level. So I'll get the other side set up, and then we'll get to making plates, or getting to making outriggers. Hi there. Alright, so we're going to measure these. I'm going to have to make a bunch of templates for them. I know they need to be 2 inches tall because I'm going to use the same square stock. So I'm going to get a rough length, pre-cut some 2-inch strips, and then we'll come out and fit them. So from the bottom of this to that edge, I'm 13, no, not 13 and 3/8, 13 and 7/16. Let's write that down. So we're on the right side, front, middle, rear. 13 and 7/16. The middle is 12 and 7/8. And this side will be 14 and 3/4. So I'll compare these to the other side and see how many strips I need to make. Maybe I'll get lucky and these will be really close and I'll be able to just mirror them onto the other side. That'd be killer because I got everything set up the same. So hopefully everything's straight enough on this truck that that'll happen. So everything on that side is just off by a 1/16. So that's probably just my slight eyeballing in and out on the tube. So I'm going to make one set for this side and then see if I can fit them to the other side. So let's go make those. So first off, let's see where these guys are in relation to each other. So we're about 0.5, so about half a degree up. Yep. So really I could probably do this more or less flat. I think this back one's going to be one of the easiest ones. $13 and 7/16. There's 13 and 7/16. Sorry, I had to do that on my lap. So I'm going to make sure that it's a straight cut. And shave just a tiny bit off that. Oh, it was going in there at a weird angle. I didn't need to shave just a tiny bit off that, so I think I can cut that guy just straight across. And that should be good. good with all of that? Well, it's still easy to... That'll do. Alright, well, there's one. Look at the rest of them. We're just going to repeat that process for all the rest. I'm on my last one, so let me show you what I've been doing here to get these lined up, these middle ones. I can look through my little gap here and see my plate there, and I need it to be flush here, but it's angled coming up to this, and I only got 2 hands. So I'm looking through here using one of my speed squares, putting it roughly, as far as I can tell, in the middle-ish of that one. Get on there. And then one hand here, cinching it down. There we go. So that it'll support my tube on the inside, and then I can get under here, right, that way. Support my tube on that, then use another square and make sure that I'm straight off of here at 90. And then go ahead and weld her in. Double, I just bumped it. Let's make sure this is still 90. Good. Go. And then should be able to drop that. Get the bottom here. And then get my sides. Boom. They're all tacked in, so I'll need to pull them off and final weld them still, but we're good to go. Time to start doing tubes. Whew. Man, it's been busy. So in the last few days, we got the axle moves forward 1.5 inches. We got this winch cradle made, got the grill fit around the winch, got the body mounts changed, got the main structure for the sliders done. We got this part templated. I still need to cut it out. But I'm gonna have to call it for this video right here. Part 2 will be coming up in a few days. I just need a couple days so that I can get this all edited so that it's able to post on Wednesday. So you figure maybe Saturday part 2 will come out. Tomorrow morning I'm gonna start, not tomorrow morning, tomorrow after work, I'll start getting all this tube work done, get the tube kickouts for the sliders done, get my shocks, my shock mounts done for the front, trying to have all that done this week before the weekend, because I've only got like one more weekend, and then this week and that week after that of a few hours after work every day to get this truck done in time. So I don't know if the roll cage will get done by then, but we're going to try. We'll do our best. We'll at least have front, rear bumper, and the sliders 100% locked in, ready to rock. So part 2 will be coming probably this weekend or real early next week. I'm hoping to have everything done by Friday, so it just depends how long it takes me to get it edited. And that'll be the completion of this. So the sliders will be 100% done, welded out. This front winch cradle will have all its tube work done, welded out, skid plate hopefully done. And then the next one after that will be back bumper and, God willing, a roll cage too. But if you like this kind of stuff, you can click right here, right there, somewhere around that zone for some more of that. If you want to stick around and see this truck come to fruition and see what we got up our sleeve next, you can go ahead and click right there. Have a great week, guys. I almost forgot. If you don't get started, you'll never get finished.